TV! Psst. TV! You gonna talk about Wolverine to Deadpool? You can do it? I know you saw it! I was there. In your mind. I saw Wolverine and Deadpool 3. Dawn of good movie. That's the review. It was fucking awesome. It was better than I expected it to be. The first Deadpool was pretty good. Kind of had like a generic villain and was kind of establishing things, I guess. And I don't know, I don't think it really had much of a budget. The second one, I'm a little biased because it has a Juggernaut. But it was also just better because it was just a better movie. It also had Josh Brolin, Thanos Man. And there was just a lot more going on with it. And it was better overall. But this one, I think even maybe without Wolverine and Hugh Jackman, it would still be the best. But, I mean, it just blew the other two out of the water. It was fucking awesome. The chemistry between the two, Deadpool and Wolverine Man and Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds, it was amazing. It went about as well as you would think it would. I think the joke was that Deadpool had waited 25 years or something for this crossover, or 10 years or something. And then it took 25 years or something for Wolverine to finally wear a suit. But the point was it happened and was good. I think. They swore at each other and fought a lot, and it was awesome. And there was such a mental reason for Wolverine to be wearing his suit. I forgot about that. He's a failed Wolverine from a universe where he let the X-Men die and the world goes to shit. Because you find out later, after the X-Men died, he started just kind of killing people left and right, regardless of whether or not they were good or evil. And that made the world just hate the X-Men, so everything's just bad there. And Deadpool runs into him because a rogue errant faction of the TVA wants to prune universes again, and they want to pull Deadpool out because they think he's cool, but his universe needs to die. And also, I guess Logan was part of his universe, and they established that losing an anchor person of a universe will cause it to decay eventually. And Logan's death in Logan was going to cause his universe to decay over time. Everybody loves Logan. They think of him as like a hero in the TVA. They love his sacrifice in that moment where he's talking to Laura, and he's a legend, even though he's kind of a piece of shit up to that point. And very similar to the Logan that Deadpool pairs up with. But yeah, Deadpool finds him because he decides not to let his universe die, and he was offered to be able to join the 616 universe, which the movies keep calling it that. The MCU, the Loaf universe. He even travels there at one point in the beginning of the movie towards it and is applying to be an Avenger, and it's not clear how he got there. He's from like 1005 or 10,005 or 10005 or something. Maybe he used his bracelet. But he disabled that after he used it and put it away. He thought the TVA was chasing him for that reason, and they were like, nah. So anyway, he rebels against the TVA agency, rogue peopleman, to go find a Wolverine to replace Logan, because he thinks it'll just work like that. He could just grab a Wolverine, throw him in the Fox universe, I guess, and that universe won't degrade. And it results in like the coolest recruitment montage ever, I guess. He first runs into what he thinks is going to be a good Logan, and he sees comic accurate height Wolverine and just immediately like turns him down. He's like, this is going to be a montage, isn't it? And he runs into X-Men Apocalypse Wolverine, who just starts stabbing him and kicking his ass just out of pure rage. Doesn't even let him talk, really. And he runs into a brown and yellow Wolverine that's fighting Hulk, and that was cool because you see him in that outfit. And he runs into Henry Cavill Wolverine, which is fucking sick. You just see a Wolverine working on a bike, and he's super jacked, and he's joking that they'll treat him better than the guys down the street if he joins Marvel. It was cool, and he actually punches Deadpool back through his like TVA door thing, and that leads him to the worst Wolverine's world, and that Wolverine is all downtrodden and not wanting to work or anything or help or do superhero things. But he wears a suit, which brings me back to the point of him wearing a suit for sentimental reasons. It's underneath his clothes, and he wears it because what had gotten the X-Men killed was him refusing to really join and help them, and they were in the mansion at one point while he was off drinking, and they got murdered, and they had been trying to get him to wear the suit, and he was like, nah, that's stupid, and he didn't want them to think he'd want to be there, so he didn't wear it. So after they died, he started wearing the suit just everywhere because it's all he had of them. But it gets fucked up a lot. He actually tears the sleeves off himself. But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. The dude that wanted to delete universes again was like, you can't fucking grab a Wolverine from somewhere and slap him back in the Fox universe, and that's the worst fucking one. But it was the coolest one, probably my favorite Wolverine, because they do a lot of fighting and stabbing and hacking and stuff. Also in the beginning of the movie, during Deadpool's hunt for a Wolverine, he goes to like the future where Logan died in his universe, because like I said, it's established that's his universe. He digs up the skeleton because he's like, yeah, Wolverine's not going to be dead, he can't die. And then he pulls the skeleton out and is all pissed, and he ends up using the skeleton as a weapon against the TVA agents going after him, and he's killing the shit out of them. It's so violent. Something is scratching at things. I don't even remember where I was. Something about Wolverine was killing things. No. Anyway, yeah, this movie is super violent because Deadpool kills the shit out of TVA agents using Wolverine's skeleton. He wears his claws at one point. There's a lot of like grotesque but funny humor. There's a moment where he gets one set of claws stuck in a TVA guy's ass and another guy's like balls, and they're like going back and forth trying to get the claws out, and looks like a sex act. There's a lot of humor like that. Deadpool was on point. Like Ryan Reynolds, I think, did his best work as Deadpool. Like he had the quickest and wittiest like insults, I think, in this, and it was pretty much non-stop to the point where you were almost like tired of it. So it made it even better when Wolverine just tells him to shut the fuck up multiple times. And those two have some really good fights. There's a fight when they first end up in the void, because that comes back after evil TVA man that wants to delete things again sends them there. They stab the shit out of each other and are fighting, and then they have a fight inside a car, and that fight is probably my favorite one. It's the most creative, and it's where you see Deadpool flying out of the car roof in the trailer. It was insanely violent. They're just stabbing the shit out of each other, getting blood all over the car and ruining it. It was great. And it was a car borrowed from another Deadpool variant, one that was like a pretty boy Deadpool that kind of looked like Jason David Frank with long hair. It was Ryan Reynolds with like a wig and hair shit, but he had a dog that the Deadpool really liked. There's a funny moment where a bunch of Deadpool variants that have been sent to the void make their way to like his original world. Deadpool uses this Deadpool as a shield, thinking he could like heal and stuff, and finds out he can't, and he gets like murdered in a hilarious way. And then he takes his like double golded Desert Eagles he had and his dog. The car was already truly fucked up by this point. After the car fight too, they run into a bunch of old Fox IP actor people, because this movie was a send-off to like the Fox era. It's the only Fox movie franchise that really carried over into the MCU, and it's kind of funny because the TVA guy that wanted Deadpool from his universe to join the MCU is basically like an analog for Disney wanting the Deadpool franchise out of everything that happened with Fox. Everything else is just nothing to them. But they run into Blade, Elektra, they run into X-23, and Gambit. And Gambit himself keeps talking about how he never got to be a hero and stuff, and it's a play on how his movie got canceled before Channing Tatum could even play him, which Deadpool breaks the fourth wall and makes fun of him for. He himself seems to have just, in his world, I guess, never got to be a hero. Most of his gambiting was done in the void, I suppose. And I wish they had been used more, but you don't get to see them a whole lot. The action scene with them is kind of blurry and hard to tell what's going on. But they had the Fox Juggernaut, the gross one, played by a guy who's using good old-fashioned steroids instead of a meat suit. And they also had Chris Evans in it. And I should have seen it coming, but I didn't. After Wolverine and Deadpool wake up in the void, there's the Sabretooth fight, and that's another Fox crusty version of a character. He gets his head cut off in like a samurai kind of slash showdown thing. dies instantly. But Chris Evans is there, and you think it's Captain America because they try to cover things up and have him wearing red and blue, so you think it's that suit under, but then he flames on and he's Johnny Storm. He's some kind of variant. It's cool. It's not really clear if these guys are variants of the movies ones we're used to, or if their universes are fucking deleted. A lot of things got pruned, I guess, before the TVA cared. But he ends up getting killed because Cassandra Nova is sort of one of the main villains of the movie, and she was sent to the Void because I guess the TVA sent a bunch of people that would be able to stop them or be a danger to them to the Void, and that's why a lot of those other characters were there. And there's a funny moment where she's confronting Deadpool, Chris Evans, and Wolverine, and they've all been captured by, like, the faction Sabretooth was with, which was hers. And Deadpool's like, oh yeah, he said all this shit about you. And she kills him for it because she had been trying to catch Johnny Storm for a long time. She like pulls his skin off and then he just collapses into a bunch of meat and gore. And all throughout the movie, Deadpool's like insisting he was innocent in getting him killed. And the greatest post-credit scene ever is just Deadpool, he's at the TVA showing the clip of everything that was said by Johnny Storm, because Deadpool like rats him out. He goes off on a long tirade of gross insults and stuff, and you think, oh, Deadpool just made that up. Why the fuck is he telling on Johnny Storm like this? And then you find out in this scene, the post-credits scene, Johnny Storm did say all that shit. It's Chris Evans going on a gross tirade about all the things Cassandra Nova can do, and he's gonna kill her and shit, and yeah, and it was long credits. But it was amazing because it had a montage of like behind the scenes stuff for the Fox projects, since this was a send-off. And there's a really cool scene where the Deadpool Corps, which is a bunch of Deadpools that got sent to the Void, they all work for Cassandra Nova, I guess, and get sent to the real world because the evil TVA man, he wanted to prune everything and had like a timeline ripper thing that she found out about and went to go get. And she sent the Deadpool Corps to stop Wolverine and Deadpool from getting to it and her. And it's just like a one-take fight kind of thing, side view. And they're just murdering all these Deadpools. There's a point where they're in a bus doing it. And the whole time the camera's just kind of tracking along sideways and it just ends up in a bus. And you see like the windows fill with blood and it's crazy. And then there's a laughing baby Deadpool. And they're like, what the fuck are you laughing at? And all the Deadpools start getting back up. They're the ones that killed the nice Deadpool that the guys borrowed the car from. And the assumption was none of them could regenerate because he couldn't. Because Deadpool got him murdered using him as a meat shield at one point. And he's like, I didn't know he couldn't regenerate. And then they all regenerate later. And he's like, oh, I guess there was only one that couldn't.